All right, I know it took me a while to get this together, but there's a lot to cover. Frederick asks, considering a deluxe accessory kit with tokens, markers, and dice? Mike answered yes. So it seems like we're going to get an upgraded accessory kit, upgraded maybe acrylic tokens, and some dice. Pompey Blue asks, Beastie Ambassador promos finally going out soon? Need my Nessie. Mike says, already sent out. So the Ambassador cards have been shipped out. These are the cards that we've seen in the past here, and the distributors get to decide how they want to distribute these out. Main IAC Collector asks, will there be a restock on Nightfall Encrypted Nation binders? Mike says, unfortunately no. I think they were available for a few months. The Nightfall Encrypted Nation binders have been sold out for some time now, but I have seen the Cryptid Nation binders on smokeandmirrorshobbies.com from time to time. I didn't get a chance to grab Nightfall. I wish I did, because I do have the other ones. Butters' Captain asked, will the UFO binder be out on release date? Andy replied with, it will be late, unfortunately. Later in the chat, Andy then said, instead of UFO binders, how about some gold pins? And what Andy's showing us here are the pendants that will be part of the What's Your Passion partnership. Soft Touch asks, any major changes to gameplay after seeing tournament play at this year's Casters Cup? And Mike says, I think it went super well. Maybe next year we will up the boosts associated with the pseudo environment, so changing your spellbook is a necessity. And this was really interesting to me because what I think really sets MetaZoo apart, especially with what they did at the Caster Cup, was the blitz. So giving more bonuses to the pseudo environments is going to make the game that much more interesting. It's really going to strengthen that thing that makes MetaZoo special, and it's really going to allow players to think outside the box for next year's Casters Cup. You can't just enter blitz with the best Kets deck and expect to win. Soft Touch also asked, hey Mike, any update on chapter 7 of the book? Mike then answered, big announcement this week. Dead Without the Lee, is the book coming with a promo? Mike replied with, that's the plan, have to check if that's kosher with the bestsellers list. And we now know that the big announcement was that they are working with WME for the IP. The comment about the promo card is really interesting here because this is probably one of the first MetaZoo drops that I can remember that might not come with a promo if it affects how the book is treated on the bestsellers list. I'm going to buy a copy either way. I'm really hoping to have a chance to get a leather-bound copy, but obviously Mike wants to do what's best to get on the bestsellers list because that's the best thing for publicity. Happy Kitty 05 asked if there's any chance that the community could have a say in the SCP set. Andy replied with, for continuity's sake and to make sure the game remains balanced, this will still be handled by our fantastic R&D team. I have to say I do agree with Andy here on this one. I don't think the community should be helping shape what the cards, the effects, the abilities should be doing for the cards. And that's simply because there's a whole meta to take into account. There's balancing. There's all of this time and research that goes into making sure that things are going to be fun and fair. I do, however, believe that they would accept feedback if you have ideas for abilities and what you want to see in future sets. Our next question is from Enzo, and he really knows how to get Mike's attention and take up real estate for a question, which is a solid plan. He asked dual auras when? And Mike said, Seance. We're going to see dual aura types in Seance for the first time, which is really interesting because we could be seeing beasties come back in different forms. We could be seeing things like a spirit Bigfoot, for example. Alberto3591 asks, I know you're doing figures, but is there any chance of large statues being made like the company first 4 figures? Would love to see a big Mothman or Frogman piece. Mike says, not a bad idea. First 4 does some very interesting and detailed figures. They're made out of PVC, and they have some high-end models that come with their own displays. Metazak asks, Fork promo details. Please, Mikey? Mike replied by Florking, and Andy then followed up with pre-order in the next few weeks, likely. So it doesn't seem like we're too far away from getting Flork shirts on the marketplace. Gunner4746 asked, what sets are we to see after UFO? And the list that Mike gave was Seance, Native, War, and 7 Seas. I believe he's only listing out the main sets here because we do know that SCP is planned for December and that we're going to be getting a chibi set sometime in the spring. Sneaky7 asks, hi Mike, are there glow-in-the-dark UFO cards? Andy replied with, there will be something unique collab-wise that glows in the dark in Long Beach. We know that the Long Beach Collecticon is going to have the tarot tent, so what I believe this might be is maybe a glowing crystal ball of some sort that's MetaZoo related. Butters as Captain asks, does Wilderness have cards that haven't been pulled yet? Mike says, yep. I got another question in this week. Do the bronze and silver card designs differ from what Hyperbole pulled? And Andy replied with yep. Big C47 asks, is there only one prototype Mothman card, or are there multiple? The reward for the silver ticket, I mean. Mike replied with about 20 or so of varying levels of completeness. All of this talk is really interesting. Yes, there are bronze and silver cards, and they're different than what Hyperbole pulled. And there's been some theories thrown around that the bronze, silver, and gold are all on that single card, so this helps confirm that. It helps confirm that they exist. And Mike's comment about the 20 prototype cards means that there's 20 or less silver cards. Pompey Blue asks, cosplay promos like Pikachu dressed as Charizard need to happen. I feel Mothman dresses up as Snipe in private. Pokekai followed up with Chibis wearing the skins of other beasties, cute in a way, cross-brand beastie marketing. And Mike replied with Halloween. So it sounds like this year's Halloween set's going to be incredibly cute. I can't wait for that. Immortal Workshop asks, can I get a thumbs up on hosting a learn and play and tournament at the Mothman Festival? Don't want to step on your guys' toes if you're going to be there. Mike replied with, would love to see as many hosted events as possible. So I'm really excited for John to run this event, and hopefully some of you get to meet him. And I can't wait to see how that goes. Dr. R asks, I was in Hot Topic yesterday. Couldn't help but think how great MetaZoo would look on their shelves, and he talks with them. Mike just replied with his signature smiley face, which usually means that something's in the works. Now, Hot Topic is interesting. I don't know if we'll get anything Hot Topic specific, but I do know that a lot of times Hot Topic gets Funko exclusives. So I think it's highly likely that MetaZoo and Funko are going to be working with Hot Topic to get some very exclusive content there. Mr. Sly XX Indigo asks, I have heard rumors of MetaZoo having an IPO and becoming publicly traded. Please verify. Mike replied with, if and when we do IPO, it will be post-IP. Going public post-IP makes a lot more sense. You get that brand awareness out there. You get a sense of MetaZoo being a big player in the entertainment industry, and things are going to go a lot more smooth. Zajal asks, hey Mike, thoughts on a Lovecraft-based set? Mike, again with the signature smiley face. The Lovecraft tease is very interesting. Only some of H.P. Lovecraft beasties are actually public domain, so not everything is going to be usable. A lot of the content created with H.P. Lovecraft was a collaboration. MetaZoo will not have access to them without a partnership. So while it's possible we could see some Lovecraftian beasties, we're not going to see the full gambit. MetaZac asks, yo Mike, any updates on when we will hear more about the Discord medals? Mike replied with figuring out the metal card tech with our printers. Happy Kitty 05 asks, when will the recipients of the Discord medals be announced? Mike says in August. So this is great news. Sometime next month we'll find out who the Discord community members are that are going to receive the metal cards. And I am curious what the print run of these is going to be. If they're putting this much effort into figuring out how the metal card tech is going to work, there's probably going to be more than a handful of each. Bully Ranger asks, have you considered extra rare versions of cards already in sets with a flashier foiling type, kind of like Ultimate Rares in Yu-Gi-Oh for example, would increase the collectivity of whatever set it's in as a chase card? Mike replied with, I like our foil, can't add too many rarities, otherwise cards lose their special appeal. I couldn't agree more with Mike on the rarities here, because this is the big thing that drew me away from Pokemon when I started collecting again last year. As a kid, I remember being so excited to pull holos, and now they mean nothing. So I'd get really excited when I was doing a video and I'd pull regular holos, but nobody cared. It was all about the full art chases, and that's fine, but it really took what made Pokemon special to me as a kid and kind of threw it out the window. Mitrada asks, any plans for Prism Aura to be in the future theme decks, release decks, like Power Up Red or Growth? Mike says, not as of yet. He also then replied with, I think the last product to have Prism Aura in the foreseeable future are the Target blisters. And this is interesting about the Prism Aura because there's some hints that the Prism Aura might make it on the next reserve list update. JM Collects asks, Revive Wilderness going to be sold at partners or out of stock? Now this is interesting. It was actually a partner that replied here saying, partners. So if you missed out on that Revive drop, definitely keep an eye on your partners to see if you can get one there. Zeke1993 asks, hey Mike, are the rugs going back up? And if you can tell us how many of each are going to be made? Mike then replied with, we will be allowing our partners to order them. Elijah Sparks asks, will the rugs have a restock? Mike says, with our partners. EC Taylor 71 asks, more than 100 of each MetaZoo rug design made? And Mike replied with, only Mothman. Again, keep an eye on your partners if you missed out on the rugs and want to get one, especially now that we know that, except for Mothman, The other rugs have a print run of 100 or less. Metacaster 1P37 asked US Scavenger Hunt, any updates, Mike? Ready for a road trip? Mike then tagged Andy, who said, this will happen shortly after UFO. That's all I got for you. The scavenger hunt was supposed to be in May originally, but has been delayed, obviously. And I really can't wait to figure out what we're going to be doing here. I'm excited to see if something's actually going to be in my area for this. ERT-Nod11 asks, will MetaZoo ever have signed cards inside boxes? Mike, again, with this signature smiley face. Having signed cards in boxes is really interesting to me because I am somebody who isn't going to make it to a lot of conventions. I'm not going to have a lot of chances to go get things signed, so having the chase available to look for a signed card in the boxes is awesome. Touchdown Bear asks, what's happening with the foil that went into space? Do you have it back yet? Mike said it crash landed around our printers a few weeks ago. And that foil that went into space is going to be on every single booster box. It is the pixelated UFO that's in the bottom corner right above the first edition symbol. Metacaster 1P36 asks, Mike, will we see Topps Chrome in 2022? Mike says that's the plan. Don't even get me started on Topps. Bats from Caster Society asks, any plans to make official tournament store packs? Mike says working on something like this. Tournament store packs are very interesting. It would be a way to entice people to go play at their LGS, and this also hints at the packs that they've talked about for MZOs or staff support to help run those events. Call Me Cinema asks, will there be redeemable cards similar to the tickets, Wilderness, and UFO? Andy replied with, each set has its own unique chases and hunts. UFOs are, well, out of this world. What Andy's most likely referencing here is the cards that were sent into space, so there are 120 cards that were sent into space, 10 of each of these 12. Elijah Sparks asks, will UFO have a Revive collab? Mike says, yup. I believe UFO Revive is the last one that I know of that's confirmed. If things are going well, which I think they are, I imagine we're going to see these for Seance and Beyond as well. Green Beans asks, will there be a UFO watch? Mike says, yep. I missed out on the Wilderness watch, but I'd actually probably consider the UFO watch, especially if it's going to match the design of these booster boxes. Butters' Captain asks, where is the vending machine in Long Beach, and how does it mean that 7 Seas is the last set of Cryptid Nation? I thought MetaZoo was all Cryptid Nation. Mike replied with, nope, we have multiple blocks planned. Yokai Island is next. Cryptid Nation is the first block of sets leading up to Yokai, which starts with 7 Seas. There will be a number of sets in the Yokai block, which eventually leads into Grimm's Kingdom. And now for the unanswered questions. Gunner4746 asks, if online game, maybe code cards? PETA asks, will there be digital playing cards in UFO? I think I heard some of that a while ago. Senpai Roshi asks, is there a digital TCG in the works? The one on Steam is tolerable but difficult for new users like myself. Sorry if this has been asked 100+ times. We know that code cards were originally expected to go out with UFO. Obviously, that's not happening. That has been announced. And it's most likely because the digital game is delayed beyond the release of UFO. A digital game is coming, they are working on it. It will be an online style of play, and code cards will be expected to be released for that to redeem cards online. It's still too early to say whether or not Seance is going to be picking up the idea of code cards, or if we're going to have to wait until early next year with Native. Metacaster 1P36 asks, Mike, will there still be the free drop for Token NFT Wilderness Pin Club and Valentine's Day for those who bought onto those drops? The free drop of Valentine's Day and Pinboxes NFTs are waiting until after the PFP release. Medicated91 asks, how many people are expected to be at the UFO release event in Roswell? Currently there's 90 people online signed up, and you have to create an account to be able to follow this, so I'd say it's pretty safe to say that that number right now is close to 90 people. And honestly, there's a ton of people that want to make it that aren't going to travel for it or can't travel for it. So yes, 90 does seem small, but it's really not in the grand scheme of the people that are interested to go. Savage716 asks, do the Kickstarter uncut sheets not have all 52 cards on them? It has been confirmed that the Kickstarter sheets do not have all 52 cards on them. They will have a subset. And you could look at this as yet another level of collectability of the full sheets. MetaPhantom asks, what's the next eBay exclusive item? The next eBay exclusive item is going to be the lunchboxes for UFO. They'll be all metal and they'll have this art on them. Gunner4746 asks, any more sample cards being made? Reprinting sample cards would defeat the purpose of the sample cards and ruin the special nature of sample cards. Demon asks, are we going to see full holo aura cards again? I'm not sure if this means full holo auras as in the box toppers for Cryptid Nation or things like Prism Aura, but we do know that we're going to get the Neutrality Totality Aura in next release. And this will technically be full art like the Prism Aura. Chicken Block asks, UFO box toppers? Call Me Cinema asks, next booster box toppers? UFO will not have box toppers, only the core sets of each block will. So Cryptid Nation base set has it, Yokai Island's first set, which I believe is 7 Seas, will have a box topper, as well as whatever Grim Kingdom's first set is. Thank you for watching this week's MetaZoo Hour update. I apologize for getting it out so late, and I'll catch you in the next one.